The Almost Perfect Podcast.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck-ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Hi, my name is Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck-up. Let's learn from someone else's mistakes. And today we're going to learn from Neil Green. Yes, that's right. I've chatted to Neil Green, but I guess you're going to hear it and we'll be chatting. I'm not too sure how timelines work when it comes to podcasts. Either way, thanks for tuning in. I do that every time because I'm on radio, and so you say thanks for tuning in, but really, thanks for pressing play on this podcast. This is the third Almost Perfect podcast. The first one was with Carbon Goldstone. The second one was with me because my planning skills are absolutely shit, and I didn't have a proper guest for last week. So you can go listen to that one if you want to. If you're listening to this for the first time because you just saw Neil Green's name and he's way more famous than I am, so you're listening to this for him, hey, why don't you go back and maybe get to know me, and then you'll also know why you should listen to future episodes of the Almost Perfect podcast. Like I said though, chatting to Neil Green today, and we got to chat. He's doing a show actually. He's doing a one-man show called Last Bus this weekend. That's the 28th and 29th of September, and you know, just in case you're listening to this in like a year's time and you're like, oh shit, Neil's performing this weekend? Nah, it's this weekend if you are listening to it in terms of linear time. Like, I have no fucking clue how this shit works. God, I'm putting stuff out into the ether, trying to like put a date to it, but anyway. So yeah, he's performing this weekend at the Durban Country Club for a show called Last Bus. It's kind of we get into the whole thing, but he's a big video game fan, and because of that, he's actually giving away an Xbox One to someone who buys a ticket to his shows this weekend. So that's a big prize, and that's a big reason why you should go watch it. But also because Neil is fucking hilarious. He's absolutely one of my favorite comedians in Durban. The way he messes with structure, the way he's a very cerebral comedian, and I think people don't give him enough credit for that. And we chat a lot about having to skirt the line between being a corporate comedian and, you know, being an artistic comedian. We delve into, you know, harmful stereotypes in terms of colored community and comedy and that, and how, you know, everyone's got their colored people stab jokes, including Neil. And so we get into all of that quite deeply, actually. And in a weird way, it kind of turns into our other podcast, because we have a podcast called Live from the Winston that we do together at the Winston pub every Wednesday. You know, we just delve into a lot of different topics there. So this podcast kind of goes into that direction a little bit. It's not so much as I did try in the beginning to get, like, you know, his story from the start and to try and, you know, see where he fucked up a little bit and stuff like that. I didn't really get that because Neil is quite difficult to actually pin down and to manage, I guess, and he'll take the conversation wherever he wants to take it. Although I also, you know, asked a lot of questions based on what he was saying. So yeah, we go all over the show with this one, and like, it's hard to really think what I've learned from this conversation, because I already knew so much about Neil and his approach to life and his approach to comedy and everything. And I guess the duality of everything is kind of what I got out of this conversation with Neil. It's just how difficult it is to be a stand-up comedian in this country, where there's a preconceived notion of what it is to be a stand-up comedian, and because of how safe everything kind of is, you know, you look at our biggest comedian is Trevor Noah, and he's a relatively down the line like kind of comedian. You know, he's really good, but he's not the most experimental, or he doesn't always push boundaries in the ways that, you know, Neil and I probably appreciate. So yeah, we discussed all of that, and I think it's a pretty cool chat in general. Something that if you are a fan of Neil, you'll definitely love this. And if you're not, you will probably become a fan of Neil, and you'll get to understand and think a little bit deeper about the stand-up comedy that you watch, which I think is what he wants out of, you know, everyone. I think he does just want people to take comedy a bit more seriously and to think about it a bit deeper, and not to just, as comedians, go for the surface level stuff, and also for audiences to not just go for, you know, basic level comedy. So, I mean, those aren't his words, and you will hear his words in just a little bit. But before that, I just want to say we are also on YouTube now. So if you've been listening to this on Anchor, you can also find it on YouTube, at my own personal YouTube, just Bob Perfect. And yeah, follow me on social media if you want to. It's I Hate Bob Perfect on Instagram and on Facebook. And then on Twitter, I am Bobness Monster. Neil Green is Neil Green 82 everywhere. And yeah, so go follow him everywhere on Neil Green 82, especially to find out exactly how to win yourself that Xbox One for his show this weekend. Here it comes. Although this one is the one that I feel like kind of weirdest about doing, since we've already been podcasting together for so long now. Like it's been a few months. We've been doing the podcasting thing for like 4 months.
Well, you say that, but you're gonna get like the most media trained version of me possible.
Oh, we're doing full PR.
Yeah, because I'm not doing the editing. I don't trust you. Because I'll be saying wild things on the podcast, and then I get home and I'm like, the Live from the Winston podcast. I get home and I'm like, nah.
That's okay, good.
Don't laugh, because you do the same. I know, because I do your editing. I'm like, Bob did not just say that there. Like, I'm just taking that out.
Oh no, there's been a bunch of times where I listen back and I'm like, I'm sure I said something.
Yeah, and I'm taking it out for strategic reasons.
I appreciate that. I mean, even with so last week I interviewed myself because I like bad planning.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, I was like, we'll see like how the edit goes, blah, blah, blah. There was no edit.
You just dropped it like that?
Yeah, I mean, I cut out like maybe like a tiny little section, and that was like, but that wasn't even because of content. It was just
a different reason. No, you're gonna be safe this time.
So what is up, Neil Green? You are doing a show this weekend called Last Boss, right?
Yes.
Firstly, you're a stand-up fucking comedian. You've been doing this for how long now?
11 years now.
11 years now.
Yeah.
And I kind of heard the story about how you started from Carbon.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it from you.
Right. Firstly, it's so weird, mate. We're talking about the fact that I'm doing this show this weekend.
Yeah.
The last time we did a podcast,
We spoke about doing the show.
we spoke about doing the show, and I was telling you at that time that I don't think it's financially viable.
Yeah, you were. So yeah, this is the second time we're basically having this conversation.
Yes.
People might get to hear that conversation
At some point, yeah.
in a few years.
When the technology has advanced enough that we can clean it up.
Yeah, and make it sound not like absolute shit. Although hopefully this doesn't sound like absolute shit. We'll see. But yeah, you were saying that it wasn't financially viable, that it's a gig that you're doing just for yourself, that you were actually wanted to make it like a free thing, just so that way you didn't have to worry about
Selling tickets.
Pay. Yeah.
So weird that we're there now. Like that's happening now. I've decided to go ahead and do it exactly under my terms, my conditions, the way I want to dollar. Except I'm trying to sell tickets for it now, so let's see how that goes. But to go back to your question, I started off. I used to write for an online website called Braino.com. But I was like
There was an online website called Braino.com.
I think it still exists. My interest in it fell off after a while. Not the guy that runs it is an amazing human being, Charles Ash. This was his idea. Imagine this, bro. In the time, like I now still on stage talking about colored people need a voice, and we don't have our own media channels. And everybody, like when I say that to people, they always get like mad. They're like, what do you mean you don't have your own media channel? But everybody that feels that way has their own media channel. Yeah. So you get what I'm saying? So for us to complain about it, and for people to like basically just brush off the fact that we don't have a print publication, we don't have dedicated radio avenues, we don't have anything on TV that represents us. We genuinely do not have anything geared towards the colored consumer.
And when you do like have stuff, it's represented in the most stereotypical way, like it's not done from the community. Essentially, it's done about the community.
Bruh, I was listening to this interview with Wale, and he said something about black people in the United States. Black people in the United States as a minority are similarly represented as a percentage to colored people in South Africa, but yet they have so much more of a voice there. That's why I watch their story so closely. Their percentage of population is similar to what colored people, because they are the minority there, and colored people are the minority in South Africa.
But in America, they have a lot more of the media spread and coverage.
But again, they don't. And that's what Wale was complaining about. He's like, no, they have plenty, but they have media representation based on what the main market is comfortable with consuming. He's like, people don't, and his complaint there is similar to my situation here, where he's saying people don't want black people. They want the Halloween version of black people.
Yeah.
They want what they think black people are like presented to them all the time, or they go, that's wrong, that's too hostile, why are you guys being so aggressive, why can't you just be chilled, racism ended long ago.
But then,
and like,
but doesn't Wale also play into those stereotypes as well? And like, I mean, he markets himself in those ways, like, doesn't he?
Wale?
Well, I mean, just the industry as a whole. Like, if you look at the music industry, like, you look at the whole thing, like, it is a characterization of black people a lot of the time that you're seeing on screen.
I wouldn't say Wale buys into.
I mean, I don't know Wale specifically. I'm just thinking,
his music's definitely not like that. Like, a lot of his music's gonna be about the same stuff that people is talking about.
Yeah,
but no, he's very much conscious leaning. I wouldn't say like he's fully conscious.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Mainstream, that was his complaint. Mainstream doesn't accept him the way they accept a Tiger or a Lil Wayne or Amigos or
because
Drake.
They're
or,
playing to the stereotypes of
that's what the media likes.
Like, yeah,
we're okay with black culture, but it must be the Halloween version. It must be black people acting like how we want black people to act.
Yeah.
And that's the same problem
that colored people have.
Except we don't. we spoke about TRO once on the podcast.
Yeah.
I posted a video yesterday on Carvin's tour, which was amazing, by the way, right? Of TRO. That video has gotten so much traction, and you just read through the comment section there. There's so much nostalgia that people associate with TRO's music. This is a live performance.
Representative.
Yeah. But if you look at the names there, it's not colored people exclusively.
Yeah.
It's quite a mixed bag because they encapsulated a time.
Yeah, TRO were like, I mean, in Ambilo we were singing TRO songs. Like legit, like groups of white boys were singing TRO, like for sure.
But again, it was the Halloween version of colored people
That
they were vibing with.
Yeah, that's correct, because it is, like, I mean, if you listen to TRO, you are listening to what you would assume colored people sound like as well.
Never came to the show to Dala. What we came for? Chwala.
Yeah.
Came to drink. And
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And we slanning Sabagos and
Yeah, there's a lot of
we poking people.
But then that brings up
don't get dulled.
But that brings up the question: what is representation versus what is stereotypes? What is like something that is, your culture's actual thing versus, or is it if this is ours versus how it's seen? Like,
yeah, but and here's the trick inside there. What Theodore was rapping about at the time there was purely authentic. That's why I don't mock TRO down for that. I applaud them for bringing it forward, because them singing those songs about that was their real life that they was living every day.
but then, so is it on the consumer then? Like,
What's on the consumer?
Okay.
Because now the consumer takes that and they go, oh, we like that. And then the moment like you start want to present colored people in a way that deviates from anything about the way they see that, then they're not comfortable with it.
Okay, I understand.
Did you get what I'm saying?
No, I understand that entirely.
So Brainer.com, when it started out, was... Do you know whenever somebody comes up with something that's revolutionary, what happens is it's its rawest form. So you can't stop anyone from populating a page.
Yeah.
It's a forum. You want as many voices in that forum as possible.
Your forums back in the day used to get so lit. Like,
And that was one of the most lit forums ever. I didn't go to that many forums because we all found a forum that we liked and kind of rocked with it.
Yeah.
Like we had all of us had 2 or 3 forums going at one time.
I had the B9 fucking, and a few others. There was a Durban alternative scene board that I got banned from eventually. So
Yeah, I was in the South African Xbox one. I got banned from the South African Xbox one for doing a post about Grand Theft Auto as a Grand Theft Auto character, which was weird because they banned me for using foul language, for using vulgar language, and from promoting violence on a Grand Theft Auto sub. It's a Grand Theft Auto sub.
Yeah, what are you expecting?
What do you want? And like, I genuinely thought that shit was genius. Me posting as a Grand Theft Auto character. And I got banned because, this is a family website. And I'm like, oh my
Family
God.
website just
But anyway.
GTA 5.
Yeah, it was, GTA 5. It was like 4.
Yeah.
Like it was 4 or something. But like, and see, that's the point. So the forum life was big. And so Brainer.com was this forum. And like, I started enjoying the forum so much that do you know how many real relationships I've got with people since that forum?
From the internet?
Like, yeah, from that forum specifically. And so I started contributing more than posts in the thing.
I just want to give a shout out, speaking of that, Shout out to Catherine Jenkins because she's probably listening to this. And
Hey.
she's the one who banned me from the South African alternative forums.
Cat,
Or the Durban.
Cat banned you.
Yeah, I was a rebel rouser. Like,
What? You were.
so yeah, and I'm sure she'll be listening to this. So I think I'd throw that in there. But yeah, so you made a lot of friends from the forums.
I love Cat though. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, so no. Then I started like, because the forum had like a homepage, it had like a landing page, and like there was articles there. So I submitted a short science fiction story based on colored life, and I was like, yo, can you? Oh, I was like, yo, can you post this on the thing? So Charles was like, cool. So then I started writing that as like a regular feature. So what I would do is I would take stories from Ridge and write like fantasy science fiction versions of like real events, but they were real events and based around real people.
Which just spruced them up a little bit.
Yeah, so it was myths and legends, like how they had like a Roman mythology.
Yeah.
But like from Ridge.
Awesome.
Oh, it was amazing, but I'm actually so sad that I can't find almost all that stuff.
Did you not keep like any of them?
No, I got maybe 4 or 5 left.
Fuck. Well, I was gonna say, like, do you not? Was Google Drive not around back then?
This was way back in the day. So.
Like, I want to delete so much stuff, but I can't because I'm just like, what if one day I need to reference this?
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then I was writing, and then the story started picking up a lot of steam, like these stories, but not so much on the forums. Yes, in the forums itself, but email, because we used to send email jokes to one another and stuff, and people were reading these like long fiction pieces, bruh. And eventually, a guy from independent newspapers like reached out to me, and he was like, "Yo, I like these stories. I want to help you add more structure and add more." Cause I don't know anything about writing. I'm not a writer, so
So you weren't a writer.
I wasn't at the time. And I was writing him from my desk at work, you know, for the most part. And he was like, yo, I want you to work with some ideals. And he's Rowan Callahan. And Rowan helped me a lot, like trying to get this thing together. And Coven was working at Independence at that time as well.
Yeah.
And somehow it got to Coven. Like,
that you're funny.
Yeah, because the stories were mainly funny. They weren't always the funny. Like if I read them now, they're a bit cringy. You know, like I was also like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
but we all feel that way about shit that we started with.
So and then Carvin reached out to me. He's like, "Yo, I read your stuff, and I think a lot of your stories that you're telling would like lend themselves to stand-up comedy." And I was like, "Cool." It's like we're doing a stand-up comedy thing. Would you be interested in joining?
And that was something you had thought about, right? Like you.
I loved stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But stand-up comedy, people don't know this. Stand-up comedy was not mainstream accepted then like it was now.
Not a fuck, dude. Like that's the weird thing. Like, cause I grew up watching the stuff that was on Mnet. Like they would put these specials on, like these 1 hour specials, like Chris Rock. They had Ellen DeGeneres. They had what's his name?
But I never had Mnet.
Yeah. So I mean, I assume it would have been slightly different for you. But for me, like Chris Rock's the guy that like I always saw, like I always loved, and I was like, fuck.
No,
like, I wish I could do that.
I was before that. We had straight audio of Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor at the time.
Oh shit.
And the first thing that we watched was Eddie Murphy's Raw. Not the first special, which was hilarious. The second one, Raw. We watched that like as a family, and it was the most hilarious
as a
shit.
family?
Yeah, for real, bro. It was like the most hilarious shit to me at the time.
I guess for white families, it's like Monty Python.
Yeah, I suppose it's a lot like Monty Python. And actually, my father was like obsessed with. Anytime somebody came to visit, he'd be like, "Yo, have you seen Eddie Murphy's Raw?" And if they hadn't, we would watch that shit. But like, I watched that thing so many times, and so like that was the first video, and we got that video because it became unbanned as part of, during apartheid. That was banned. That was part of, it was one of the yeah, it was definitely. So when that got unbanned, that was the first time we got to watch stand-up comedy. So by the time, but I still did a lot of the audio. I remember Chris Rock's Bring the Pain.
Bring the Pain.
I had a CD of it. I never watched that. I had a CD of it. I have a DVD now that I bought many years later. But I listened to that whole thing. So, and like I always loved comedy. And I used to tell my friend sister at that time, that's what I'm going to do. Like, you know, one day I'm going to do stand-up comedy. But there was a big gap with it. I didn't think that was real.
That's the thing, because you always, like, even me, like, I was like, I want to do this thing. But I could never do that.
There was no real way of doing
it.
it.
Like, how do you get there?
Yeah,
like,
there was no real avenues. Oh, but there was comedy just happening in Dublin. But that was like Mark Banks, Colin D, John Flismith.
Colin D.
Yeah, it was. Even comedy was whitewashed at that time.
No, I know,
right?
but I'm just because I remember Colin D's as a strip club, but
Yeah, but they had comedy there. I'm not saying I didn't go for the strippers.
I didn't even know those that they had comedy there.
That's what I went for.
Holy shit.
I swear to you, this sounds weird. I would go watch the comedy and then leave. Like, I wasn't interested in seeing the strippers. The strippers were a bit like, I don't know. I'm not just a stripper shame, but it was like people's wives. Like the strippers at that time.
I kind of knew those strippers and stuff because I was young then, but they would. My mom worked at the bowling center there, and Colin D used to play tennis and bowling.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And the weirdest thing is in the oil wrestling vibe, the guy who used to do basically ran the shop at the bowling center, the guy who would drill your balls and stuff like that.
Right.
Great. Drill your balls. But that guy, he basically was the ref for the oil wrestling.
Oh, he was a man of many talents. No.
Moonlighter, yeah, fuck.
No, but for real, like I can tell you Colin D jokes now. Like I'm telling you, I know almost all Colin D's jokes, but like I used to enjoy watching.
I had no idea that he was a comedian. Like, wow.
But I'm telling you, I used to sit and watch. Like, it was the most amazing thing to me to see people doing stand-up comedy live. And then like twice a year, they would do like proper stand-up comedy shows in Durban. But even then, there was like the ICC was around, but they wouldn't have comedy at they wouldn't even have comedy at the Playhouse, dog. Like I watched, first Playhouse show I watched was Mark Lotzi, and I walked out. I was so offended.
Oh yeah, because you.
Oh, so offended.
You hated the stereotypes. And
I was enjoying the comedy, but there was a character they used to do.
Oh yes.
There was a colored lady that's a cashier, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm not watching this. I'm out. I love Mark now. So Mark is one of my favorite comedians to watch now. But at that time, I was like, nah, I'm not. Because again, comedy wasn't a space that my people were in. So I was basically sitting in this room full of people that didn't look like me. They were like nudging each other in the ribs and going, hey, yo, these colored guys are like that. So like I didn't like that.
But do you not see that within your own comedy? Like when you perform, like, and you talk about colored things, and
Absolutely.
you perform to white audiences, and how does but how do you feel about
people
that?
come up to me afterwards and feel comfortable saying the most
racist shit
to me because I was talking about it on stage now. So I wear that. I understand.
But how do you deal with that? Like,
like the way I see it, if you can come up to me after a show and see something that I did and feel comfortable to be racist around me afterwards, because that happens,
then you're just racist.
Then it means you were racist to start off with. like you didn't come there, saw me do comedy and went, oh, I'm racist now. Like I've had an epiphany. I've been sitting here and watching this colored guy, and now I realize that I'm racist. So I don't take responsibility for people's racism. I do, however, I do have to take responsibility for enabling racist behavior sometimes. And I do have to take responsibility for making it okay socially to talk about racist things, because I'm talking about racist things. I am.
But I mean, talking about racist things isn't necessarily racist, obviously.
It's not. I'm talking about it. If I'm talking about it, I'm obviously talking about it from the side of the victim.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So is there, that's not wrong to do. Like, you're literally giving your perspective.
People don't understand art like that. People completely got it mixed up.
I think, this is we still need to chat about how you started that, but we can get down this, because you and I sometimes on the same side of this coin and sometimes on the different side, in that our responsibility to the audience and what we say and do. Like, so does that play on you more and more when it comes to colored issues essentially? No. I call it straight. I understand the difference between being artsy. Like, you have to respect your art and your craft first. And I'm gonna say something that I thought about that was funny, almost with no regard for the consequences. If it's genuinely funny, I'll say it with no regard for the consequences. I'll try and pair it with some consciousness where I can. Like, I'm good at packaging my stuff. Which comes first then? The funny joke and then you how do I sell this?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because sometimes I'm doing damage control for something that I said.
Okay.
For example, I do this joke. I've actually got a proper example for you. I do this joke about how when my daughter went to white school, I was worried about her keeping up intellectually with the other children. Huh?
But the premise, but sure.
Yeah, but when I do the joke, I do it from the point of view that my daughter's really dumb. But I do that just so the punchline is funnier. My daughter's not dumb. But I do that so that the punchline is funnier. And then afterwards, I'll say, oh, but this is how I feel about my daughter. But there's people that hear that joke and genuinely, I'll meet them out and I'll be with my daughter and they'll be like, this is the one. This is the one.
That's something that frustrates me a lot, is that people don't get that jokes are jokes.
People don't get that jokes are jokes. But you have to know that. You have to wear that. You have to own that. The responsibility is on you. When I make a joke saying that colored people are dumb and when we send them to predominantly white schools, they struggle, I make that joke. And I have to take the fact that if you are a normal person...
How do you turn that around, though?
Do you know why I feel like I don't have to turn that around? I feel like I don't have to turn that around because there's lots of people that think that already.
Yeah.
Whether I say it or not, there's people that think that.
Sure, but you're busy reinforcing that.
I am busy reinforcing it. But when I'm reinforcing it, that's what satire and parody is.
Sure.
Satire and parody is not... you don't do it in a way to show people that they're wrong sometimes. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't necessarily...
Well, you don't show them that they're wrong, necessarily, but you can show everyone else, like, that's what they
There are people that think they're wrong.
Okay, I get
And that's what I do. I like people that come up to me and challenge me often. They go, yo, I don't like the fact that you did. I have people challenging me on my material often. And I like that. Because then I explain to them, yes, but that's what I'm doing. Whether I go on stage and say colored people are intellectually not up to speed of other races, whether I say that, doesn't change the fact that people think that. Do you get what I'm saying? So when I go out there, I'm not trying to reach the people that think that already. How am I going to prove?
Yeah,
how would I prove it to you? What, would I challenge you to a game of 30 seconds? Like, how would I prove to you that I'm as smart as you are? If you're going to believe that, believe that. Well, I can't change the fact that there people that think that. There is no way,
because white exceptionalism doesn't allow for you to...
There's no debate. There's no... Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my job when I go on stage is not to change the mind of people that inherently believe that colored people are not as smart as other people. Because if you believe that, you believe that.
Yeah.
My job when I go on stage is to make the people that know that that's not true be angry that I said that. I want people to be angry that I said that. And it actually frustrates me that more people are not angry with me for saying that.
But, I mean, at the same time, maybe they are. Or maybe they're uncomfortable but don't know how to interpret
I want them to be uncomfortable. I want people, because I feel like when I say that, I'm doing that to light a fire. Even if I'm making myself the focal points of the rage, I want us to be angry about the fact that that happens. Because I'm really angry. We've spoken about this before, bro. I've been for so many interviews where I'm looked at differently as a candidate because I'm colored.
Yeah, and also because your name's Neil Green, so people
expect
something different. And
yeah, and I get all these jokes about colored guys are like this, and people continue to make jokes about colored people not pitching for work, and the alcohol abuse, and stabbing people, and all these jokes.
Yeah, literally every single fucking comedian like you've ever seen in South Africa has a colored people stabbing joke.
Yeah, and I do a colored people stabbing joke, but when I do it so over the top that I want colored people to feel uncomfortable that I'm saying that. If you heard, you haven't, it's a fairly new joke that I do. I do a fairly new joke about, and that's what I'm saying. I want people to rise up against me and go, my man, you can't be on stage saying that. Because we do all these like little soft jokes about colored people stabbing one another. Yeah. So I'm out there going, oh, really? You want to do jokes about colored people stabbing one another? I've got one for you. And I do the wildest joke about why I think Ashwin Willemse should have stabbed both those white people. Yeah, I do it. But I do it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty wild.
It is. It's wild, and I go so deep into it. But I want to be challenged on it.
Are you doing that this weekend?
I probably will. It's as I'm saying, I know when I push my comedy too far. And that joke in particular, especially for all the colored people that are getting stabbed, and for all the violence that really does take place in our communities, I don't feel comfortable making light of it. But I'm doing this joke almost to show people that you shouldn't do jokes about that. I know, it sounds crazy what I'm saying to you, but I do that a lot, bro.
I know. Like, and I know you skirt the line quite a lot with stuff. And like, sometimes
Absolutely.
you don't even skirt the line. Sometimes you
I fully cross the line. Yeah, like I do that.
But then how do you manage to maintain your fucking career as this, MC, well not MC, but like, you do corporate comedy, I mean, you pay for your shit off of comedy. And it's pretty hard to do that when you say controversial things, when you make people feel uncomfortable. Like, you look at anyone who's successful in stand-up comedy, like in South Africa, they're not doing it by pissing people off.
Yeah, I know.
So how do you make that balance?
And here's the thing. Like, what you said is, firstly, let's start with what you said. The people, I got a call for a corporate the other day, and the person wanted me. And they were like, because I'm going to be real with you. When I put a suit on, and I cut my hair, and I do all that shit, and you get me there in front of your corporate, I'm a very good corporate person. Yeah. Because I come from a corporate background.
Do you understand what's expected?
I understand what's expected. I have enough material to do. There's some corporates that I'm doing one for.
So you don't always have to be political, Neil Green.
No, I'm not at all. In those spaces, when I'm in the corporate space, I know how to not offend anyone in the room. There's some corporates. I'm doing a corporate now this year that I've done for 4 years running now. Like there's lots of corporates that I do where the people keep calling me back because I clean up nice, and I'm telling you, I can present myself like a Mnet continuity presenter when the time comes for me to be there.
But how do you feel about doing that though?
It's not unnatural because see the reason why I've read all the books and studied all the things and made myself into this well-rounded person is so that I can be in those spaces.
Okay.
I studied, everything in my education was to be a functioning member, because that's what we strive for, to be a functioning member of the corporate world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never...
You haven't, but I have.
Yeah, sure.
I spent 17 years working in those conventional spaces so that I know what shirt goes with what belt goes with what shoes, and I know how to talk to someone that's a CEO. And you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I train. I'm not going to lose all that now. It's not my fault that came first in my life. Yeah. That I ended up in middle management.
That's useful skills.
In a blue chip company. So yes, I can. My man, you can book me now to do a proper corporate presentation about, I don't know, developing wetland, and I'd be the guy. I can do that.
But do you see that as it's obviously a completely different thing to your own personal stand-up?
Got nothing to do with my comedy. I use elements of my comedy.
Of corporate comedy and public comedy, essentially.
But that comes from doing comedy in also like churches and weddings and stuff like that. I can't go out at a wedding and be doing the comedy that I normally do.
No, okay.
So I have 11 years of moving in those spaces to make myself comfortable in those spaces.
Okay, that's understandable. But...
Right, so that's how I get by in those spaces. I'm pretty good in those spaces. But, and this is the but here, I do feel uncomfortable about doing it.
That's what I wondered. I mean, because it doesn't seem like it would be that like, but I mean, our jobs aren't necessarily enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in general, like if your job isn't necessarily meant to be the most fun thing, but
yes,
to me, like it's weird because stand-up comedy is meant to be this fun thing, and then like the corporatization of comedy in South Africa is now like basically the only way most people make their money as stand-up comedians. Like the other thing that you see, like, so for those of you listening here, most of the comedians that you know, like, very few are making money from you going to their shows. Like, more of you
almost none. Yeah. And even the people that are making money from you going to their shows don't make enough money from you going to their shows.
So more of you need to go to shows for one. But at the same time, that's the thing. The corporate structure has kind of been the saving grace in a weird way of South African comedy. But at the same time, I can't help but think that maybe it might be a negative thing, and that like it trains people for corporate comedy. You know, like the audiences that go there are like, oh, this is what stand-up comedy is.
But don't you think that permeates like every level of entertainment?
Yes.
Let's take it away from comedy,
yes,
right?
I agree with you.
Tupac was Tupac because he rapped about the things that he rapped about, and he rapped the way he did. And Tupac made enough money from doing that kind of thing that he did okay. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's the last guy ever, but I'm saying like we created room for him to be remunerated for doing these things. You couldn't book Tupac for your year-end function. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly, and he never needed to do a year-end function.
He never needed to do year-end function because he was making money off doing his music. Now we've created people like AKA who you can book for your year-end function. It will cost you a shitload, but he has enough of a discography, and his music is palatable enough to.
The people know it's in like he can play anywhere, and
but if you were trying to be if you were coming up in music right now, the right move would to be more like AKA, just so you could monetize what you do.
If that's what you want to do.
But then I'm saying if you are a working musician now, I'm looking at comedy, I'm looking at music, I'm saying if you are a working musician now, you shouldn't strive to be anything other than AKA clone.
But then you just need to copy Drake first, because I mean that's what AKA did.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a hierarchy, but I'm saying Drake in turn copied Big Sean now, but that's another story for another day.
You're the Big Sean copy.
But that's what I'm saying. There is a part for music, for lots of things where you go, creative spaces are not as chaotic as people think that they are if you want to monetize them.
Yeah.
Creative spaces are truly chaotic if you just want to create.
Yeah.
If you just want to create, that's what it is. It's just,
create good art,
If you want to create good art, it's just anarchy. It's pure anarchy. Nobody can tell you how to do it.
Yep. I agree with that.
I saw a quote from you know how much I love Joe Budden. Joe Budden put a quote on Twitter, and he said, "Are you checking the thing there?" He said, "Inexperience doesn't exist in creativity. Like, you can't be experienced. We can't use experience against you as a creative, because that's not how creativity works.
No. I mean,
there's no amount of time that you
experience
pause.
does help in terms of like
Polishing.
But in terms of, and also I mean coming up with ideas, if you've done it a lot of times, you can get there quicker. But
No, but we're talking about the seed, like the actual baseline creativity. There can't be a model to follow, bro. And I'm not going to start naming names now, but if you look at comedy, the people that are the most successful are following the Trevor Noah format.
yeah,
That's the path.
yeah,
That's the path to the money.
that's
If you want the money,
like
that's
at the moment, but yeah,
yeah. But there's not that many people that are not doing that kind of palatable, pandering comedy that are making money out here.
yeah. I mean, there are a lot of comedians doing that comedy, but
Well, everyone's trying to do that comedy. Even if you're not doing that comedy, you should be realigning and readjusting and packaging yourself.
no, because the thing is, that being the thing creates space for something. Like culture creates counterculture. Like
Cool.
So to me, that's the thing. If that's what everyone's doing, then what you're doing and stuff like that, what I'm doing, and like
But
other comedians.
I'm doing both. I have to do both.
Yeah, for now. But do you see that changing actually?
No.
Do you think
No.
that that's just the way it is in South Africa? It's
So
like as long as you're a comedian in South Africa, you're gonna have to do both corporate.
That's
and,
the way it is in the world. Because Kevin Hart is making money out that side.
Yeah, but Kevin Hart's making fuck tons of money.
Yeah.
Fuck tons, shit tons of money.
But there's others that are not making as much money
No, but I'm
that
saying-
are subsisting.
Yeah, and Kevin Hart's creating tons
Okay,
and
so let's-
tons of crap.
Since
art.
we're talking comedy, right? Let's talk about subsistence comedy.
Okay.
I'm saying doing enough comedy, like I want to make enough money off comedy. I'm using me as an example
Yeah.
now. In Durban, I want to make enough money off comedy to subsist. Not to be rich, not to be a millionaire, not to drive a certain kind of car.
But even then, so what? Like 20 grand a month is your
20, let's say
like-
20 grand a month.
Yeah.
That's a good number, like to feel comfortable, you know? Like,
So if you had to do a gig every Friday and Saturday, get 2 grand off of those, 2 to 5 grand off of those,
Yeah.
you might make it off of that alone.
Yes.
Maybe, but the chance of getting those gigs,
it's impossible.
yeah.
It's possible.
But now corporates, you can get 1 or 2 a month, and they pay you 5 to 10.
Two a month paying you the same amount as 11 or 12 gigs. And the only way that would fix that is if more people started coming to gigs. And if the gigs themselves didn't have gatekeepers.
Yeah.
It was, no,
You keep fucking.
oh no, yeah, no point. Let's not even discuss that. But my point is, if I was hosting my own gig and you were coming and giving the money directly to me, I would only need 40 people a month. I would only need 40 people a weekend to come watch me do comedy.
So isn't there a way to make that happen?
That's what I'm saying. There's millions of people in Durban.
Yeah.
If I got 40 of them to come out once a weekend to come watch me do comedy and pay a fair amount of money and come watch comedy, then I wouldn't need anything from anyone, and then the art would be pure.
So let's set up our own comedy club.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But now, you see the problem with setting up a comedy club? Me and you don't have no $500,000. So we have to go to someone and say, yo, we need this money to set up a comedy club. Then there's so many things involved with setting up the comedy club that for it to work, we'd actually need 120 people a weekend. Wow.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
you set up from Tuesday to Sunday.
No, I'm saying, dog, like, and then that would be like a rubbish comedy club where people are sitting on like black label crates and watching the comedy, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it makes getting the 120 people harder.
A little bit
Because
harder.
let me tell you something. When they have comedy shows at the ICC, 7,000 people come out, no problems. Pay 350 rand a ticket.
Dude,
Because
that was
suckers
the
coming.
thing about the Kevin Hart fucking gig I went to. It was packed.
Was
And they were-
packed?
and they were charging like 700 rand for a fucking
No,
beer.
the top ticket
No,
was
yeah.
3 grand. The top ticket was 3 grand at the Kevin Hart people,
Oh,
and
wow.
people bought
I got
3 grand
I
tickets.
got given like front row tickets and I left like during the first joke of Kevin Hart.
Bro, I'm saying there was people that paid 3,000 rand to watch
That's-
Kevin Hart.
That's fucked up, dude. Because I sat through the Red Cup boys,
Yeah.
and it's just like homophobic bullshit, racist bullshit, just fucking misogynistic bullshit, just hacky jokes, like hacky.
But you've just described all stand-up comedy that's popular in Durban.
Yeah, but then Kevin Hart gets up and he starts telling this bullshit joke, and I'm just like, I'm done. Like I can't go for another hour.
But that's
with
the
all this.
market.
Yeah, that is the
Racism,
market.
homophobia, all those things.
Misogyny. Yeah.
Misogyny, is classism a word?
Yes, classism's all.
I don't know what I'm saying. Like, that's how I think of it, right? All of those things are the foundations of what the people that pay money to come watch stand-up comedy want to see now, not when it started.
Yeah.
Not when Mark Banks was there.
It's still today. To
That's-
this day, that is the standard for comedy, like on a major scale.
So how are we gonna fix that? We need to fix the audience. Do you know how we fix the audience? Re-education. Do you know how we re-educate the audience? By getting them to be in spaces that they wouldn't ordinarily be. By marginalizing the kind of people that are doing... See, that's the thing.
The safe comedy.
stop
See,
it,
just
stop it,
because
stop
just
it.
now you're saying you
Stop
should
it.
be safe. but-
Stop there. That's what I'm saying. Is it right to tell somebody what they should do in their comedy, though? Aren't we destroying the art once you start telling people what kind of jokes they should be doing?
No, that's the thing. I've never told anyone else what kind of joke they should be doing.
But how do you feel when somebody comes to the Winston and does a joke that you 100% do not agree with?
Depending on the joke, like. If
Oh,
it's
not
very-
depending on the joke.
No.
Like the worst, wildest shit you ever heard.
In
Because
general,
I've heard some wild shit at the
no,
Winston. Let's
that's
be
the
real
thing.
here.
In general, I do have the opinion that, like, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But we've got one rule: no rape jokes. Like, and that's for respect for,
Cool.
like, you know,
No, with
people
you.
who have been through.
So
that.
that's one side of this. That's
Yeah.
one side of the spectrum, right? So now if we're trying to fix comedy from an artistic point of view, and we can't. I'm just saying if we are trying. So we wanted to get out white people do this, black people do that jokes. That's the other end of the scale. Because that's the most
Yeah.
palatable joke for me to listen to as an audience member. White people do this, black people do that.
Yeah.
Kind of people stab, Indian people are cheap. Like we can go on and on and on.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we wanted to get that kind of shit out of comedy, can we tell people to stop doing those jokes?
Once again, you can discuss it with them. You can be like, hey man, I don't think that that's a good joke, and this is why, and you're perpetuating these things. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to decide whether or not they're going to.
But now, if people, I'm telling you now, if you got 500, if you got 500 people to come sit down and watch comedy, and you got them to watch comedy where there was no white people do this, black people can't swim, white people can't dance. If we did 2 hours of jokes that had none of that shit in it, they would say it was a bad show.
Probably. I mean, if you look at all of Trevor's shows,
Yeah.
like, because let's just take him as the benchmark for
He is the
what
benchmark.
people, yeah, like. as
No,
like
he is.
comedy. Yeah.
He's a global, he's an icon. He's not even a comedian.
And he does it just by dissecting culture and race and the dynamics between the two. Like,
Yes.
that's his whole thing. It has
There's
been.
very much value in doing that as well.
Yeah.
There's value in doing that. But I understand how me doing jokes about colored people stabbing one another holds all of us back. It holds everybody that laughs at that joke back. It holds everyone back.
So then why do you still do it?
Because, and this is the conundrum. This is the
Because it's still funny.
the oxymoron. This is the psychology of comedy that we're getting into here.
Because I mean, I feel you, dude. Like my Reva joke, dude. Like I know I shouldn't tell it, and I don't. I like. There's a lot of times where I don't, and there's some nights where I'm like, you know what? Like I'm gonna tell this joke. It's fucked up. But am I
Doing
really
Oscar
the guy
jokes,
that-
doing any joke to do with Oscar Pistorius is sketchy territory. Any joke, whether we're talking about his physical appearance, whether we talk about the crimes he was
Yeah,
convicted
dude,
for,
fuck.
like in that shit should not be funny.
the
But it is.
the whole like. There's so many things like the ableism, like with the Oscar Pistorius stuff. I'm just like, no, make fun of him. Like, don't make fun. Like, you don't need to make fun of.
So
his
you're saying
disabilities.
that before Oscar shot somebody, there was no Oscar jokes? Is that what you're saying?
No, there were plenty.
So what I'm saying.
No,
Do,
but that-
do
but
the
that's
people were the people that did those jokes, were they vilified and ostracized and removed from what we accept as acceptable? Were they removed from those
No,
spaces?
no one gets removed from fucking spaces in comedy.
Eminem makes a song, and in the song he uses the F word.
Oh, I know which word you're talking about there, because we
Right.
all say fuck.
No. So he says very famous homophobic slur
Yeah.
in 2018. He has to go back and apologize to that.
Did he?
Yes, he had to. He apologized for it. Let's go back into Eminem's discography and see if we can find that word from before now.
Yeah, it's constant.
It's pretty much a constant.
Yeah.
So him saying that word now is not something you should apologize for, because you've been saying that
Yeah,
word,
you should
John.
apologize
That
for saying
means
it in its entirety. If he
No,
doesn't
don't
agree-
apologize
No, I'm
for
saying- no, if you don't agree with it now, if you go, cool, I'm wrong, you guys are right.
Yes.
Like, you know, I need to apologize for saying that word. You don't just say, I apologize for saying that word on that one song now. Like, I
Right.
apologize for all the times I said that word on my songs.
No,
if you are sorry.
but more than
But if
that,
you're not, fuck it.
more than that, doesn't that talk to the kind of person that you actually are, though? The fact that you say that word so many times, you can't now because it's 2018, say sorry for saying it in 2018.
Yeah.
Because apologizing for saying something is not addressing the fact that you probably feel like that inside. I'm not speculating here. You said the word a lot of times, my man.
Yeah, but he's probably said it a lot because
So why
he's feeling some type of way.
Cool, but I'm saying, how come
He's
we're getting
hiding
Louis C.K. out of here for he's just different because of actions.
Yeah, and also Louis didn't fucking really like do anything for penance, I guess.
I don't care about what he did for penance. As I'm saying, why are we not vilifying the people for who they are inside? We only want surface apologies and we only want to address what they said on the surface. Because like Donald Trump doesn't have to say, I hate black people for me to know. Like, and if he said that and we caught him, he just go sorry. And that's my point.
Yeah,
like
and people be like, he said he's sorry.
Yeah, what are you guys
mean?
carrying on about?
Like,
but that's my point.
oh, you uppity blacks.
But that's my point. We can't ask people to say sorry for the things that they do and not ask them to question the underlying behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you 100%.
We need to hold you accountable for your underlying behaviors as well.
Even these racism, it's just the racism Olympics these days on like social media. You just see every day like someone drop the K-bomb.
Yes.
And it's like those people apologize the next day, and it's like, what did you learn?
Oh, I didn't realize I was standing. I didn't realize somebody saw me. I didn't
It's
realize
like
what
I
I was
was having a psychological issue. I
No,
was
but the
drunk,
fact that you
was-
went to that so quickly talks more to the fact that that's how you're thinking all the time. You're just not normally verbalizing.
I feel like this is delving into live
Oh,
from the Winston territory.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be interviewing me. Yeah.
Yes.
But to go back to talking about me specifically, me and my comedy, I would say my comedy is fairly problematic. Like if we looked at the base material, but I'll tell you what's my rule. I will only say something outlandish or wild or inflammatory or controversial if I genuinely believe it. And I'm not sitting here and telling you that everything I believe is right. Lots of what I believe is wrong. But that's why I like to get challenged on what I believe. So
Do you put some ideas out there wanting to know whether you're right or wrong? Like you're not sure, so you're like,
absolutely.
Here's a thing.
A lot of times I'll pose it as a question. I'm not posing it. I'm not telling you this is how I feel. I'll pose it as a question. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And whether I pose it as a question, whether it's a statement, whether it's a joke, whether you laugh, my intent is always to get a conversation going.
Yeah, you see, sometimes
even where I'm the person.
Sometimes I want a conversation to get going. I just don't want to be the one having it.
Yeah. No, I have no problem with being that person because I believe.
I don't have enough time.
I want to say, and I mean this, comedians have a responsibility. We have a responsibility further than making people laugh. And I genuinely believe this. I wouldn't say this if I don't hold myself to this. Nowadays, when some shit happens, when anything happens in the news, anything, doesn't matter whether it's finance, like politics, whatever, we all look to comedians to say, hey, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah. I mean, that's been the way for a while, but yeah.
No, but I'm saying now it's established that that's it.
Yeah.
Now, with the moment something funny happens, we immediately go to Lindy Johnson's Twitter to see what she's going to say about it.
Yeah.
We do that first now.
And also, just look at TV, like late night news is all just comedians.
Right?
Like,
right?
Just breaking down.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you want to be part of this fraternity, you come in here now, you didn't ask to be a person that was looked at for social oddity and direction.
Did Carrot Top's not asked for his take on George Bush and
for sure.
Donald Trump? So you can also skirt away from it.
But Carrot Top's there's lots of comedians that aren't like comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could name a few that we don't look at. But I'm saying
yeah, but they're still making bank.
True, but and I'm not here to say what's comedy and what's not comedy. But I'm saying I put myself in the bracket of social awareness. Every time I'm on stage, I understand that whatever I say, there's an element of politics.
Yeah.
There's an element of social commentary
as well. Yeah.
It's almost entirely social commentary. That's all that it is all the time. So I don't have to be responsible inside that. I have to be honest. And if I'm wrong, and that's what I do, I want to be challenged. And sometimes I do it on purpose because I know I'm wrong. But you guys have been accepting this shit that I'm saying now from so many people for so long.
But because I'm
Why?
doing it this way and it's making you feel more uncomfortable now, now you want to challenge me. But you won't challenge the other people because...
No, but I want you to challenge me.
No, but that's...
But in challenging me, you'll start to challenge those other people.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I fully understand.
That's my goal. So that's why I do wild shit. And that's why when I go to a corporate, I'm not doing that. And when you book me for a birthday party, I'm not doing that.
But it's also because that's not the job. Like,
yes.
Like, you know, so I know because we've discussed corporate vibes before. To you, it is that. It's, you know, like I've been hired to do a corporate thing. Whereas doing a one-man show or doing your comedy is something completely different. It's your art. It's not your job.
I'll put it to you like this, yeah. Imagine you are a piano player. But like, no, you play keyboard in like a band.
Yeah.
But during the day, you get hired to do jingles for companies.
Yeah.
You can't start putting
you're disturbing more than enough people.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not putting the shit that I would do with my band in the jingle for the company.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yes, it's easy for me to make that distinction between what I'm doing for money and what I'm doing for the art. But there's also lots of overlap there because I can't push. Now I'm on.
But can you seed stuff in the corporate like?
Yes,
well,
definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. In the corporate space, I do have like a very dumbed down version of that. We do have some honest conversations, definitely. But I'll balance it off with a lot of tomfoolery. Do you get what I'm saying? But yes, I know I do walk that line sometimes there, that side. But and more importantly, I understand that when we bring it back to the art side of things, I also now, because I've become such a prominent person in that corporate world, I now my art's being limited as well.
Because if those people now come to your comedy show,
and
what are they expecting?
Exactly.
You see, this is why I say
that's happening to me now.
That's why I say I worry about the corporatization of comedy in this country and what it could do long term in terms of stagnating the way audiences think and see. Because also
that's happening now.
You look at like how certain comedy companies in Durban and around the country handle comedy, and the comedians they pick, a lot of the times they're the hackier side of comedy. They're the more condensed, and so even the public who are now going to watch comedy are still getting this watered down, condensed version.
We're not doing enough to shake people's perceptions of what
comedy can be and what
yes where the ceiling is.
This has been my frustration for years, and this is why like I've been trying to create my own gigs, because I just do feel like that's why, like, even with underground comedy, I might not agree with stuff that people say and this and that. You're still allowed to say it. You still have this space. It's up to the audience to decide whether they like you or not. But the underground audience is also getting smarter as time goes on, and not that they were dumb to start with, but you know what I mean.
Sure. But I do also think that we sitting here and having a conversation about how to fix an issue that's a global issue. A lot of what we do in South Africa and this is a problem for me, is driven by what's happening. We're not, there's no waves starting here. And the waves that are starting here is almost all appropriation.
Well,
but I'm saying
home wave, but yeah.
One. But I'm saying, yeah, that's for real though. I was watching these Japanese guys, BTS.
Yeah.
And like their sound was like, yo, like who did these beats for you, homie?
Yeah, dude, like it's worldwide.
It's worldwide. Yeah, but yeah. So come back to my point now, right? We still, our idea of what's good or what's the direction to move in is all still based on what's happening overseas.
Yeah.
We still buy BMWs and Ford. I'm not saying we don't have a South African car manufacturer, do we?
I don't know.
But like I'm saying, we still look for our signs or our, how can I put it? A symbol of affluence.
Yeah, and success.
And success and clothes we wear and
it's a Bentley and like
fashion and health and everything. We look overseas.
And it's also, I mean, it's just capitalistic. It's like
yeah, and they've set it up in a way like that they understand that that's the way the world works. So that's what I'm saying with comedy now. It would be hard for us to start the home wave of comedy. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's not impossible.
But if you look at like vernac comedy, it does seem to like.
Oh, but I can't even speak on what they do.
I know. Like,
they are much bigger than us now.
Yes.
They are much bigger than us.
Yes. It seems like it seems like it's just like it's this wave. Like
it is a wave.
You'll go to those gigs.
Let me explain something to you.
Thousands of people. Like it's so big.
Let me explain something to you. For real. Trevor Noah, Skumba.
Yeah.
That's it now.
Yeah. So
everybody else
for those of you listening, Neil had his hand higher for Trevor, but slightly lower for Skumba.
Yeah, that's where we are now. Yeah. I'm talking about inside Africa.
Yeah. No, I mean that's fine because like Skumba has potential for a bigger market in South Africa. Like as time goes on, he probably will surpass what Trevor can pull in South Africa.
Absolutely. I get booked for stuff now. Like last year, Calvin and I got booked for this picnic. And there was like 40 comedians in the lineup, bro. It's like they have budgets to do stuff that we can't dream of doing, like in our sphere of comedy. And that market don't have to answer to no one. That market has no oversight. There's lots of corporate money involved. There's lots of money happening on that side. And we sit here trying to figure out how to split up this money amongst ourselves. These also is killing shit on the other side, you see? They are killing shit. Obviously, I'm moving those places a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but I'm moving them enough. Like, me and Justice are homies. Me and Shembe will call me for stuff every now and again. Me and Shembe are outside. But, say, those also they have figured it out. They just got their own market. They just said, fuck all of you. This is our market. We good.
Yeah.
We good.
But I mean, like, I guess the color community is a bit smaller, but you guys kind of do similar thing with the color community.
We continue to kind of do that within the color community, but yeah, the numbers are not comparable. And unfortunately, like, in Durban, the Indian audience is the biggest audience. If you want to do stuff and you have to be on side with the Indian audience.
That's, I mean, like Carvin and I kind of discussed this.
Is it?
Well,
yeah, my man, you have to gear your stuff towards that.
Well, just that, Indian and color people support comedy like around Durban no matter what. Like whether you're white, black, Indian or colored, they'll come watch you. Whereas white people kind of stick mostly to the whiter gigs, and I mean, black people do tend to cross over, but at the same time, there's Vernac gigs. But the colored and Indian audiences are the ones who seem to support Durban comedy, like for the English side, essentially.
Absolutely, that is it. Yeah. That is it. And no, you can't really argue with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys kind of created that. We actually didn't even get into your beginnings of your career, but I guess
we can do a part 2 of this.
We can one day, but I guess we should start talking about your gig coming up this weekend.
Oh no, I'm cool, bro. Like I'm not here for the normal interview vibes.
No, but I want to know what is Last Boss about? Like, what's the whole vibe? Because I mean, it's based off video games from the name, I understand, and from the poster. Yeah.
I'm a big pop culture guy, and I love video games. And see, that's another thing that's not palatable to people. There's lots of people that enjoy video games, but I can't get them to come out and watch a show.
But we need to create content for them online first.
I shouldn't have to do that.
No, you should. Like, you got to go to where people are.
Okay, that's fair as well. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, yeah. I mustn't be presumptuous in how we do things.
We could create dope content for the nerds.
Yeah, but I don't know. Why wouldn't they come out and watch a show? But
they would if they knew that they liked you. So, someone's not gonna, if they haven't seen, you doing a joke about things that they relate to or whatever, why would they come watch you?
But now I can't do jokes about things that they relate to right now, because the people that come to comedy shows right now, it's not gonna resonate.
That's why you do a video online that could relate to them, and then they check that and they go, oh, I like this, so he's doing a show about video games, let me go watch it.
So that's what I started off now. I started off by doing a homage, because I have so much reverence, and I genuinely love video games and science fiction. And I'm in comedy now because I sort of write science fiction, fantasy. That's what I'm saying. I have so much love for that's why I'm doing this, because I want to respect that because that's who I am. I'm that guy, bro. But I can't be that guy on stage. So my show, yes, is the show going to be about that kind of thing? No, it's not really going to be about that at all, in fact.
But are you going to throw some of those jokes in? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely, where it's applicable. But for the most part, it's going to be, how can I put it? It's not going to be nerd service, but it's going to be comedy from a nerd.
It's not going to be the Big Bang Theory.
I hate the Big Bang Theory. Oh my god, I hate the Big Bang Theory so much.
That's what I'm saying. When you talk about nerd service, and I'm using inverted commas when I say that, that's a show that's not about anything. They just put in nerd references. That's it. There's no jokes there. It's just.
But that goes to my earlier point. It's the Halloween version of nerds.
Yes.
It's a show about the Halloween version of nerds, bro.
And finally, white people had something to get upset about when it came to appropriation.
You'll work for that one. You've been waiting for that one. Finally.
It's like, they're stealing our culture.
You've been waiting for Julius Malema to come out eating a Marmite sandwich. Marmite on rye or something.
Is Marmite white? I don't know.
Of course Marmite. Not even going to discuss that.
I had Marmites in boarding school. That was it. That was never in my fridge.
No, but lucky, and as I said, the show is definitely, it's going to be comedy by one of us. It's going to be comedy by a nerd, but it's not going to be, unfortunately, for the most part, it's not going to be nerd service.
It's weird because the nerd community in Durban, because I play games and stuff with them, You know, a lot of them do ask me, like, do I write jokes about, like, magic and stuff like that? I'm like, not really.
Because we don't have a space for it.
Yeah, and it's also, like, I don't know, I do find it a little bit harder maybe to make fun of the things that I really, like, you know, am attached to. Like,
exactly.
like, the only magic joke I've got is, like, you know, like, it's called magic because when you start playing magic, like, your chances of getting laid magically disappear.
Okay. No,
That's
no, but that's what I'm saying, bro. Definitely, I like that. I like that. We need to put something together. I like that in
Yeah.
an online space
And I've
to
also,
get us to come out.
I've also got another guy who wants to shoot some things, some short things, so we'll chat after this about that. But so
No,
it's
for
gonna,
sure.
so your show this weekend, how are you feeling about it? Like, because what number is this now in terms of one-man shows?
This is my second proper one. It's like there was one
Because
in
you
the,
had Ill.
yes, that was like a main storyline, and then there was a spin-off in the middle there that I will discuss with you because I want to discuss that one with you at length.
Well, we
And-
can do that. We've got about another however
Oh
long.
no,
How much time do you
I
have?
need to kick down.
Okay.
Now. Yeah, but basically, this is the second one. This is the sequel to I'm Ill. I'm Ill was fucking great. It was such a good show. Like it was weird for me to sit and talk about my own thing, but it really was fucking amazing. I feel like this one's gonna be as good. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be better because I'm Ill was. How can I put it?
Does it feel like your pinnacle
Not my pinnacle. It was
at
just
that time?
at that time, yeah. Maybe because I haven't done the show yet. Like I look at I'm Ill so fondly because like I didn't understand anything about the energy and how it would work around a one-man show. I fucking love that show. This show, the content's definitely better in the show. But I'm Ill, it was
Like you're not talking about horse mechanics on this one.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm Ill from a pure comedy point of view. It's something that's much more I can show to anybody that appreciates comedy and that love it. This one, like I've gotten more into like my darker bag. Like
Okay.
I'm Ill was college dropout. Like it really was college dropout, and this is late registration. Where I'm not saying it's gonna be worse. I'm saying that the material's changed a lot. The type of
It's matured.
the perspective, it's matured, it's different, it's darker. I mean, it was pretty fucking dark in places, but this is much darker. Like
In a
overall.
weird way, like, do you think you're... Because, once again, like, chatting to Carvin, like, it seemed like you were really weird in the beginning, like, with your comedy, and, like, you were already, like, trying, like, different forms back then.
Yeah.
So do you kind of feel like you're going back to, like, you know,
No.
your experimentation side? Or no?
Definitely. No, I've moved away. I know how to present and package and do the mainstream thing, but this show this weekend, nah, this is the evolution of that weirdness.
Okay.
I've always been experimental. I play with the structure of jokes.
You do. Like, that's one of
Yeah.
my favorite things about you is...
I'll tell a
like,
long ass story. Like just
dude, no, like...
for no reason. Like,
And it frustrates me because, like, it's like I wonder how you write, because when I write jokes, like, it starts off like it's the joke, you know, like
Yeah.
like it's
No.
in one small space, and that's and then for me I've got to expand beyond that, or I don't. I just leave it, and I'm like, there you are, that's the
Yeah.
joke.
No,
Whereas
me
with you, you've got like fucking, it's like a whole script.
there's layers and levels
Yeah.
and misdirects
Yes.
and like all kinds of weird shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This show.
There's lots of that.
Yeah, there's just like an 8-minute gag I've got in the middle there. I'm not even gonna lie to you and say the whole 8 minutes is funny, but the payoff is fucking amazing. But I'm saying, like, that's what I do. I weave jokes now.
And your confidence in doing that, you're not like,
Absolutely.
worried about.
No,
throwing
I've been
it,
doing
but-
it. Like,
okay.
this is a new show, it's not new material. I've been getting the material ready for this.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm very...
And then, do you want to announce that you're giving away a thing?
Yep. I am giving away... See, talking about gaming. I'm giving away an Xbox One console to anybody that buys... Not to anybody. There's going to be a draw for anybody that puts a ticket for the show.
I might just buy a ticket for this.
And buy a ticket for the show. And if you buy a ticket for the show and share online with the hashtag LostBoss, I'll also throw in a copy of FIFA 19, which is launching this weekend. The most unnerdy game in the world. But come on, son. I'm trying to get more people to enter. I'm not going to say I'm giving away a copy of XCOM 2 with all the DLC.
you know-
like, no one's got...
You know, like in my nerdiness, in my weirdness, I started like training on FIFA. I didn't like the game.
Yeah.
But because everyone else played FIFA,
You have to.
And whenever you go to someone's house.
That's what you have to play. Yeah.
So I got FIFA and I fucking played this thing for like months just to get good at it, so that I could compete whenever I went to other people's
Yeah, because it
houses.
feels silly going to somebody's house and like they whip out Mortal Kombat and like you like trying to learn the buttons. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if we whip up Mortal Kombat, I'll just smash yours. So like that, I'd be grateful for that. But no one would do that. No one would play me in Mortal Kombat. No one would play me in Street Fighter.
I don't know if
No
you
one
should.
would play me
I don't know if you should be
Tekken.
so confident sitting here in my house talking about which fighting games you would beat people in.
I'm not saying I'll beat you.
I will
but
go
I'm
get
saying-
my GameCube now, my man. I'll
I'm
connect
just saying,
the shit.
I've beaten a lot of people in a lot of games, but FIFA was never my one. So I trained up, and now I'm.
You're
but, I mean,
okay
I
with
haven't, I mean, I haven't played FIFA now in like 3 years, so I don't even know. But there was a period where I trained up so I could do that, dude. Fuck, it's so weird. Like just to be able to like hang. But,
Yeah.
because that's the thing. FIFA is that game.
FIFA's the game. So that's why I'm giving away Xbox One S, and if you buy a ticket and I pull your name, and if I buy a ticket and pull your name and you shared using the hashtag
You get
Last
FIFA
Boss,
as well.
you'll get FIFA as well.
That's dope. Well, yeah, thanks for your time. This did not go at all the way I thought it would. And just like the last
You've been
one,
there for live at the Winston, right?
Pardon? Yeah,
You've been there for
I
live.
know. That's the thing. It's definitely you. It's definitely
I know.
fucking you. But yeah, thanks so much for your time, dude. And yeah, this weekend should be fun.
All right, Laka.